I will call the regular meeting for the Municipal Planning Commission to order on July 8, 2014 at 7:02 p.m. Number one is opening prayer and pledge. Mr. Hall, would you say the prayer for us, please?
We thank you for the many blessings of life. We thank you for Jesus. We thank you for being with Mr. Cantrell during his recent sickness, and Commissioner Sutton, who just recently, in the last couple of hours, I understand, got out of the hospital, and he comes straight to the meeting. So that's got to show dedication. Lord, be with this board tonight as we take care of the business of this city. These things I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number two is approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Number three is citizens' comments.
There are no citizens' comments tonight, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Cantrell. Number four is approval of the minutes, 4.1, June 10th, 2014, regular meeting.
Move to approve. Second.
Have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Number five is recommendations. There are none. Number six, bonds. 6.1, Cows Creek subdivision performance bond to cover the road, sidewalks, and storm drainage, $204,000. Planning Commission set the bond on February 12, 2008. Planning Commission reduced the bond to $119,000 at the January 13, 2012 meeting. Bond expires July 8, 2014. That would be today.
Yes. Madam Chairman and Board, we received last week the written notice from the bank that their letter of credit for bond was extended for another year, so that's all clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
The agenda, so the record will show that it has been replaced.
Okay.
We need to make a motion on it, Larry. Do we need to make a motion to extend that? Okay.
Madam Chair, is there a phase on this part of it, the Cows Creek? I mean, is it directed towards a specific phase, or is it in general the whole subdivision?
I don't recall it being a specific phase. I think it's probably been reduced because there's been a phase or two that's been finished, probably why it's been reduced.
Okay.
My memory on the reduction was that there was some paving work that had to be done, and they did that, and it had a year warranty and all that, and they reduced the original bond from $204,000 to $119,000 because my memory is it was roads and it may have been sidewalks, but I know it was part of the roads in there.
Okay.
It was to finish, put the top on, and to repair the damage to the curbs. And they completed that part, and it's on phase two.
It's just on phase two.
It's on phase two.
Okay.
That's
Yes,
what-
if my memory serves me correctly, this is phase two issue.
Okay. Answered my question. Thank you.
Number seven, old business, there is none. Number eight, new business. 8.1, public hearing. The purpose is to hear public opinion on to discuss and or take action on requiring two signatures on subdivision plats approvals by the Planning Commission members.
Madam Chair, lady, you'll have to recess the Planning Commission meeting and then call the public hearing to order. And then when the public hearing is finished, close the public hearing and then go back to your regular meeting. You can't have two going on at the same time.
Okay. We will recess the regular Planning Commission meeting and call the public hearing to order.
You just need to ask if there's anyone here who wants to speak on either side of that issue.
Okay, is there anyone here that would like to speak on this issue, number 8.1? Okay, if not, then we will close the public hearing and resume the regular Planning Commission meeting. Okay, 8.2 is to discuss or take action on requiring 2 signatures on subdivision plat approvals by the Planning Commission. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
I have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair,
opposed?
lady, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead and pass your resolution, and then I have someone to
All
say.
opposed? Passes.
According to Will, and I haven't looked, but I think that in the subdivision regulations, he informed me that there was, and I don't have a reason to doubt this, he was looking at it. There's 3 places that in which it's mentioned about recording of the plat, and what needs to happen is this board needs to look at those 3 sections and decide how you want to institute the 2 signatures that you just approved. But in the interim, while that's happening, there's 2 ways you can do this. It could always be a part of the minutes, but it's real difficult to go back sometimes and find those minutes 5 years, 6 years, 8 years down the road. The 3 places that it's mentioned in the subdivision regulations, those subdivision regulations are the sole purview of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission needs to come up with what they want to say in those 3 sections. If you want to get rid of 2 of them and just have one that has the total directive about plats, that's fine. If you want to revise the 3 of them so that they all say the same thing about 2 signatures, that's fine. But in the interim, while you do that, this board needs to direct tonight that you have in place a requirement of 2 signatures for the plat before the plat can be recorded. And that directive, under the doctrine of legislation pending, will be the guiding document and the governing document while you're revising the other part. And when you get it revised the way you want it, then you need to come back and have another public hearing and pass your revised subdivision regulation. That way you've got something in place to operate with while you're doing that, and you don't have to do it at breakneck speed. It would just direct the codes department not to record a plat until such time as you have those 2 signatures. Now, the reason that's so important is, obviously, if you have a document that is an obvious, on the face of it, I want to give you a ridiculous example, but it says, on the face of it, this document is a forgery. Well, first of all, the registrar's office is not going to put that to record. But if you've got one, even if it's a mistake, if it appears to comport with what you have in your subdivision regulations, and on its face it appears to be valid, there's nothing there that makes it come out and stick out to you that there's something wrong. Once that plat gets recorded, there is no provision in state law or case law, statutory or case law, that allows you to withdraw that plat. So it's very important that you've got the check and balance in place that says whoever the people are that's authorized to sign it, then it goes back to the codes director, and then he gives it to somebody to have it recorded. So what I would suggest is that this board pass under the discuss or take action, you've already passed the directive that you have 2 signatures, that you come up with who those 2 signatures are going to be in the interim while you're revising your subdivision regulation.
Can we add what you're asking, or would that be sort of?
Too late.
As
It's
a
already
part?
passed. It's already passed as is, isn't it, Larry?
No, it says you're discussing or take action on requiring 2 signatures. So all you'd be doing is requiring having a directive to require 2 signatures. And you name whoever that's going to be in the interim, because all you got to have then is a directive to come up with the permanent language for your subdivision regulation.
Because it was discussed in the past that it would be the chairman and the first secretary.
That's fine.
I guess that should have probably been spelled out in this, correct?
Well,
That-
no, you can discuss, because all you're doing is doing something in the interim. It says, discuss and or take action on 2 signatures. If this board wants to name those 2 people to be the people that signs it in the interim while you're revising your subdivision regulation, you have the authority to do that, and this is broad enough to do that.
But can we do it under the 8.2?
Yes. Because
In what form?
just a
We've already
directive,
passed it.
just a directive that until the subdivision regulation can be properly revised, that whoever those 2 people are will have to sign all subdivision plats.
So can we do that as a motion?
Yes, sir. It would actually be a motion directing that action take place.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for a directive until further action is done by this board, that the chairman and the first secretary be required to sign off on all final plats.
And add to that, revise your subdivision regulations so that it's
With
practical.
revision to the subdivision regulations.
Second.
Okay, I have a first and a second. We've already voted on it as it is,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we're voting on the revision.
Right.
All in favor?
Questions?
If you've got questions.
Discussion?
Mr. Sutton, did you add in there that it would be the chairman?
Yes, I said chairman and first secretary.
Chairman and first secretary.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have one question about the subdivision regs. Would that be you that'd be best to look at changing the verbiage to where it reflects this, or would that be,
Well, however you want it to read. If you want to carry this on, then you change the verbiage to match this. But this gives you something that's in place until you get this done with all due haste without having to stay here all night and do it.
so can the city planner get the verbiage changed and just get it back to us?
Absolutely. You can do it if you want. Anybody that the board wants to listen to, that's fine. But I wanted you to have something in place to operate in the interim.
Okay. City Manager Hall, can you have that directive for Mr. Humbert?
I have a question. What about commercial? This is
Commercial's not-
subdivision. What about commercial development?
Commercial's not mentioned in here, you can't take that up.
Okay.
That's done differently anyway, and it will.
Based on what you've already voted on and what you're potentially going to vote on, 2 signatures would be required for any plat, whether it's residential, commercial, any division of land.
That was my question.
Correct.
Anything that's a plat this would apply to.
Because this says subdivision. I want to make sure that we understand that it's not just subdivision, it's commercial,
What
Well,
you,
it's every subdivision,
of land.
which would
Okay.
include a commercial
Commercial
subdivision or
or
residential. So
residential.
any
Okay,
division,
that's- I
any
just want that
division of
clear.
land that would require a plat to be submitted, regardless of what the land use is, would now require 2 signatures prior to being sent to the registrar's office.
and
Okay.
I would suggest that when you do your revision on the verbiage, that it spells that out very clearly. That a
Exactly.
subdivision means residential,
or
commercial.
commercial. That's important, I believe, so, okay.
Anytime you can eliminate the possibility of a mistake, because you're going to have mistakes, but anytime you can reduce that, you're much better off.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 8.3, Phase 1, final plat for Deer Valley Downs subdivision located on Crowcut Road, map 46, parcel 17.00, owner Tony Cavender. Tony, would you?
Madam
please
Chairman,
confirm?
could
Yes.
I go back to that last item for
Sure.
just a second before while Mr. Callender is coming up? I just wanted to point out, and I know, if I'm wrong, Larry, correct me, I just wanted the planning commission to be aware, this also means a petition plat that does not come before you, it still has to be signed by the 2 signatures.
That would include in your verbiage, in your revision, it should say any plat, commercial, residential,
Any petition.
or anything that has to be platted would have to have the 2 signatures.
So we should say any and all.
Any and all plats. Including, but I would say including but not limited to residential, commercial, et cetera.
Thank you. That's good to clarify that, because, you know, I feel that's important, so.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Mr. Beata's going to read the engineer's comments.
Okay, this is engineer comments for item 8.3, the Phase 1A final plat for Deer Valley Downs subdivision located on Crowcut Road, map 46, parcel 17, owner Tony Cavender. First bullet point, the proposed final plat for Phase 1A is in general conformance with the previously approved preliminary plat regarding lot configuration and lot sizes for the proposed lots 1, 4, and 5. Number 2, the proposed sewer easement along the western boundary of Lot 5 needs to be depicted on the plat. This will be an easement for a sewer force main that is to be installed in a future phase. As such, the easement line is the only item that should be shown on the plat and not the actual sewer force main line. Please label the easement as a 15-foot sanitary sewer easement. Number 3, please add a note on the plat stating that the proposed lots will directly connect to the existing water and sewer mains located on Crowcut Road. Also include a note that states sewer service to each lot will be a pressure service line requiring a tank and pump in accordance with WADC requirements and is the responsibility of the lot owner. And number 4, please remove the note above the existing fire hydrant. And that's all in the engineering comments.
I have some questions.
I think I need a motion first.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Madam Chair, I'm not familiar with this subdivision, so if I could ask a couple of questions. What was the whole plan for this piece of property, these 15 acres? This is just 3 units, and there was additional 14 acres, I believe, that's going to be developed. What was the plan that was going to go in there? So just to get an overview of what this is going to look like when it's done.
The developer is, and his engineer are in the process of developing plans for the entire development. And I believe there's approximately 54 total lots. I'm sorry.
Yep, there's 40 in Phase 1 and 2, and then there'll be additional lots later in the Phase 3.
It's 40.
Yeah.
So it'll be developed in phases, and the first 2 phases would be 40 lots.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct? And so they do have, that will be forthcoming.
We have construction plans to you for the first 2 phases by this Friday.
So that should be coming very soon.
We can go ahead and vote on 1, 4, and 5 because they connect directly to the main road and don't have a street that has to be developed yet until we get the further plans. So those can go ahead and be developed and approved so that they can go ahead and start selling and building while finishing up the rest of the plan.
Thank you.
Is it necessary, or have we placed a bond on this?
I don't think it's necessary for a bond, but I will point out, though, that subdivision regulations do require sidewalks along existing streets. And,
I didn't see them on here.
right, they're not on there, so it needed to be brought up so that the sidewalks could be added to this plat, or they could, or of course, by the time they come back with the rest of this road frontage, have the sidewalks in across these lots too. Or, let me point out another alternative along existing roads. Of course, Article 4, 104.2 of the subdivision regulations require sidewalks along existing streets. Article 4, 104.5, waiver and alternative pedestrian ways says developers and the planning commission may reach alternative arrangements concerning sidewalks where strict compliance with the provisions of this section would be unfair or cause an undue hardship due to previously approved plats and/or development plans. Such alternative provisions may include: 1, payment to the city fund for construction of the sidewalks by the city at this location at a later date, or 2, the actual construction of sidewalks at another location. In the absence of mutual agreement, developer shall construct the sidewalks in the manner provided herein.
Excuse me, can I speak to this issue briefly? Yeah, my name's Chet Rhodes with Rhodes Engineering. I'm engineer for Mr. Cavender, the developer of the property and the project. Speaking specifically to the sidewalk issue, I just wanted to say that was one of the first issues we went to the planning department with on the 5 lots across Crow Cut. And I want to remind you all that we dedicated a 15-foot easement for widening of Crow Cut Road in lieu of doing a sidewalk on that front, and we agreed to the sidewalk throughout the subdivision, as you see on the, well, you don't see the construction plans, but there's sidewalk throughout the 40 lots, but there was not a sidewalk on Crow Cut planned. There was an agreement to dedicate 15-foot additional easement so they could widen the road or utilities. And that way the city, if they developed sidewalk on Crow Cut, they had that 15-foot easement that they could connect the whole area if the whole area developed sidewalk. But my understanding was we had previously addressed that issue on the plat that was approved, and we had that 15-foot easement that was dedicated for that purpose. I just wanted to remind you of that. Thank you.
Larry, you have any comment on that? I don't have it in front of me.
No, if
I'm not
they,
doubting it is approved, but I don't
if
have
that's the agreement and it's on the plat, I don't have a problem with it.
Is the extra 15 foot, is that over and above our typical right-of-way, or is that just the standard right-of-way?
Yeah, that was over and above. At the time we started this project and that issue came up about sidewalks, I asked the question, do we need sidewalks there? Because I was going to show them if we needed to, and was told that we don't need them, but we need an easement for future in case it develops and the city wanted to have them. So we recorded that as part of our plat and project to deed over that additional 15 foot. So that's what I recall happened on this issue, and I did bring the issue up at the very beginning of the project because I was happy to do it either way, but I wanted to know what they wanted us to do, and that's what I recall was done on the sidewalk. So for sidewalks on all the others, the first 5 on Crow Cut, they don't have the sidewalk, they have the 15-foot dedicated. That's what I recall. I'm just trying to speak to the issue that you're addressing. Thank you.
Just for clarification, it is above and beyond, or it is the same?
Yeah, this was just to address the sidewalk issue for future connectivity in Fairview. If Crow Cut developed sidewalk everywhere, they wanted to have that ability to connect that in the future along those front 5 lots. So that's the purpose of that easement.
Frank, could you check on that and verify just from?
It's not noted on this plat. Evidently it was given preliminary approval with that, but I don't see it noted on this plat. Did you notice it, Will?
It's on the approved plat from September of 2013.
That's preliminary
Yeah.
approval.
Yeah, for the 40 lots, which included these 5. So it's still there. It's not gone away. And
Well,
we'll be
that gives-
happy to show it on this. Is that condition of approval? It's fine.
That's in addition to the 50-foot right-of-way that's along Crow Cut now?
Yes.
Well, I've got 2 different answers there. It either is an additional 15 foot.
That's what I've said
Or it
every
is
time.
not.
My understanding, it is an additional 15 foot that was requested for that sidewalk issue. So it's in addition to the existing right-of-way on Crow Cut Road now. Is that clear?
My question would be, there's an easement being allowed or on the preliminary, who supposedly is going to build the sidewalks?
Well, the city had said they didn't have sidewalks on the rest of Crow Cut, and they weren't planning to have sidewalks along that front at this time. We have to build the sidewalks, lot 2 and 3 and on down through. We'll be putting sidewalks throughout this development, and they're shown on the plan. So we'll be doing that as part of our project.
And if there's a development on either side of your 1, 4, and 5 lots, and they're required to put sidewalks, the developers, yours would be, non-connecting.
Yeah, right. That's why we dedicated the 15-foot. The City of Fairview Planning Department at that time, when we started this about a year ago, in June of 2013, said that,
Excuse me just a sec.
His microphone,
Clear his mic for me, please.
it just needs to be pulled out.
There you go.
yeah,
Just pull it back, just pull it back.
There you go. Thank you.
There we go, okay.
I mean, we did what the planning department directed us to do when we asked the question about sidewalks on Crow Cut, because I came to them with that question, so.
I guess
we
I
weren't-
still
the
have the
question is,
same, I still have the same question, who's going to build the sidewalk?
well, the city told me if we give them the easement so that they can do it in the future,
The
that's
city's
what-
going to build the sidewalk?
That's what I was told by the planning
Somebody in the
department
city
at that time.
tell Mr. Chet that they were going to build the sidewalk?
Ma'am, I called the department and asked a question about this issue, and I'm telling you what they said.
So you
And so we-
spoke to someone at the planning department, or you was told that at the planning commission for the preliminary
Yeah.
plat?
Well, we were told that, and we provided that plat for approval, and it was approved in September. But, of course, we were talking to the staff in June, months before it came to that point. So we talked to both bodies about this issue. And it's on the original 40, so I'm not trying to create any problem. I'm just trying to remind you what happened. That's all. So, and, it's up to you all now, but I'm just trying to speak to what subject you were on. So y'all do what you think you need to do, but to date, we've dedicated an easement for that purpose, but we weren't putting them in there, and we weren't planning it on lot 1 through 5. However, the others has to go down through our subdivision. And the reason for that was the planning department told me there's no sidewalks on Crow Cut, but we want the ability to do it in the future. So
When you
that
say
was
planning department, can you be specific as to who you spoke with?
Mr. Lavorne, Don Lavorne.
Okay, exactly.
That's the only one who we were able to talk to, because that's who we were dealing with at that time.
With that issue with the sidewalks, that would be a variance, though, that we would have to grant as a board up here, though, is that correct, Larry?
I don't think you have to do anything. My understanding is that's the way it was approved in September, but the easement was granted, so you have the ability in the future to have a sidewalk there. That's what I'm trying to tell you, so.
So on the preliminary plat, it was approved for an easement and no sidewalks.
On Crow Cut Road, but not everywhere else. There's sidewalk in the project, throughout the project. There are only 5 lots along Crow Cut, and I asked, do you want a sidewalk on Crow Cut or not? And that's the answer I got, so that's all I'm trying to tell you. So, thanks.
And I'm not trying to be argumentative, it's just that we've just had a subdivision exactly like this come before us, and we required them to have sidewalks.
Yeah,
Well, we have sidewalks.
we got sidewalks in ours, and I think he's gonna read plans, and just, that way you guys can be able to see it, but
Yeah.
but there was no sidewalks required at the time of the meeting that we had, and unfortunately, that body's not here.
Frank's going to get to 5.
So,
Where does, and excuse me for my ignorance, but I wasn't on this board in September, where does the road that accesses the remaining lots, where does it come in at with what I'm looking at here? Does it come in beside lot 1 or lot 4?
it comes in between lot 2 and 3, which are between lots 1, 4, and 5. There are 5 frontage lots on Crow Cut Road, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. We're just bringing 1, 4, and 5 to you because they're the only 3 lots that front Crow Cut that have water and sewer access to them without any other infrastructure development. Lot 2 and 3 will be dependent on sewer to be provided. That's why they're not on this plat at this time. So, but they'll be with the construction plan submitted Friday, so.
Just out of curiosity, it has nothing to do, is lot 1 on the city limit line?
You know, I'd have to double check. I'm not certain. I don't think so.
I was thinking it was.
I think it's just around the corner.
And he was approved to do easement. I just want to make sure.
Before we even look at it, I don't have a problem. If it's on the plat that we approved and this board approved that variance on it, I don't have a problem with it.
That is exactly what I was just saying.
Yeah, I was questioning if, and this has nothing to do.
If it was brought to
if-
us in a preliminary and we approved it, I'm good. I just want,
It should have been raised
Right.
as a variance at that time, and I don't know if it was or not.
And we brought that up. We brought-
right, and you know what, we just want to make sure that for the record, that everyone knows that that was approved that way.
Sure.
Just seeing the plat's not gonna reflect it if it was in the minutes to where the motion was made when it come back, it had to have the sidewalks on it. We're in the dark without the minutes.
The preliminary plat was voted on and approved by this planning commission. Again, I understand individual members may not be the exact same. By this planning commission, August 13th of 2013. There is no sidewalk shown along Crow Cut Road. There are sidewalks shown along all the interior roads, as has been discussed. There is no special note of any kind talking about additional easements. There doesn't appear to be any dedication of additional easements or additional right-of-way along Crow Cut Road. Mr. Mangrum is correct. A thorough review would also include a review of the minutes to see if anything in the motion for approval reflected anything along the lines of sidewalks. But the preliminary plat that was approved by the Planning Commission did not show sidewalks along Crow Cut Road.
Nor does it show additional easement, does it?
Nor does it show additional easement
Of 15 foot.
of any width. Correct.
What was the date on that, August 2013?
August 13th of 2013.
Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, if the plat that we've already preliminary approved does not show the easement on it, that to me would nullify the point of no sidewalks. Because at that time when it was approved, there wasn't space for sidewalks. And it's mandated that we have that easement, is that correct?
Well, it doesn't say anything about the easement or the sidewalks.
That's what I'm saying.
So apparently, what they approved was a variance on that. You don't have additional easement, nor are you requiring sidewalks, and they approved it.
So my question is, do we need to look at the minutes and see if there was a variance approved on it?
Well, you need to look to see, because if you approved it and didn't mention the variance, you approved it by the action.
Okay. I'm
itself.
just trying to make sure we're straight on it.
But they need to get that, and the gentleman mentioned that it was on some drawing that he has about the additional easement. It would be nice to see that.
But we've now submitted a different one with it on there.
Is that what's, if that's what?
The 15 foot's on there now.
It's on there now.
No,
No, it's nothing additional
It
there.
doesn't call it out,
it doesn't call it it doesn't call it that.
It's the one they've got tonight. Does it show additional easement? So apparently, what?
I don't see an additional easement shown on the one that we see tonight.
Well, apparently they approved the original back in August without additional easement or without sidewalks either. So what you've got is what's on this drawing,
Yes,
which was approved.
yes.
And when you say approved, is that approved as drawn, or since it's brought back in a different fashion, being a smaller? what's our,
All we want to do at this meeting, or, bringing it back to you, is not changing nothing except for cut out these 3 lots so we can begin construction for all the lag time that we've been going through from the city's, situation that's come about. There's nothing changing about the plat, nothing. All we want to do is get those 3 lots where we can start building, doing some sort of construction, instead of laying dormant, sitting over there while he fixes a few things that needs to be addressed with the city's engineer. That's the only thing we're changing. There's nothing changing. We've cut these out, shown what you've got in front of you, strictly to get it approved so we don't have to go through any kind of bonds or anything because it adjoins Crowcut Road. It's simple. It's not really hard to understand. Strictly to cut those lots out because they're touching Crowcut Road. So, yeah, I don't know what the questions are about the easements or whatever. What we're bringing you is approved. However it is, it was approved the way we submitted it. And we're not changing these 3 lots. We're cutting them out so we can go ahead and get them approved to speed this process up because of the situation between a few things between my engineer and the city's engineer, so they can kind of get things straightened out so we can go ahead and record the rest of the plat. I mean, it's been an anchor tied to the ankles here. So that's all I'm wanting to do is get these 3 lots cut loose so we can start. And Wayne, Mr. Hall's aware of what we've gone through, and I think we were pretty clear with everybody else in the meeting that we had in the preliminary meeting the other day. There shouldn't be any confusion.
Well, the question that I would have on it, if we approved it with no sidewalks, with the understanding there's a 15-foot easement?
There was nothing really changed on, it was just talks, and I still don't have a problem with giving 15-foot easement, even right now, for future, if the city wants to do, any kind of up, down the road on sidewalks, because we specifically brought this up even prior to getting this approved. We brought it up to, at the time, and we were told directly that, it's not required unless it's in the interior of the subdivision. And that's exactly what we were told. Now, whether that be true or not, I don't know.
I believe it's been changed since then, but that shouldn't reflect you when this was approved.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
Ask for the condition, approve it with the condition that 15-foot access
Well,
to the easement is there.
Well,
We can note it on the plan that way.
It's just whatever they want us to
They
do.
want it to be clear, is what I think. So.
I couldn't understand you, I'm sorry. I didn't know.
I was talking to him on the side saying, giving a suggestion to try to resolve it, because I understand the questioning is, you're trying to get to the point of, do we have an easement or what do we have in the front? And you can make it a condition of approval to say there's a 15-foot access utility easement in addition to the existing right-of-way. We'll put that on this plat before it gets signed as a condition of approval, and on lots 2 and 3 as well when they come up. That way you have what was discussed, and you have some record that it's there. So, I see 2 issues here. One, what was discussed previously, and second, where's your evidence of it and proof that you have it? I'd make that a condition of this approval, and then we'll add it to the plat.
Well, the proof is a plat that they have before them that shows approval. That's, I don't have a problem in doing that, none at all. But, we're certainly not changing anything that's already been approved.
Mr. Cavender's been held up in the process, like other things have happened with the prior planning department. And, my feelings are that he was approved on the preliminary as it sits, and, I can't make a motion, but that's what I have to say.
I can make a motion, I guess. I'd like to make a motion that we approve it as, but I've got another question before I do that. Is a retention pond shown on any of these plans? I'm sorry. Jumping around.
Mr. Owen and I have required the detention pond per the city ordinance, and we've been in discussions about that. And the construction plans I submitted initially showed the detention pond, but I reminded him that this is near the 100-year floodplain at the base of this hill.
Right.
And that this site would be better off without detention to allow the the stormwater get downstream before the actual flood occurs. It would mitigate flood damage to all the neighbors. And so I believe that we are going to receive a waiver on construction plans and no detention pond will be required. There will be a sediment pond required for erosion sediment control down there, but not a detention pond. And I'll let the city engineer address that further.
That's correct. It's general standard practice to not require detention on property that's developed adjacent to floodplain areas. That's general practice not only in the city of Fairview, but also in a number of other cities as well. So that's where we stand with that.
Then I'd like to move forward, if I can, Larry, with the motion to approve the plat with the addition of the 15-foot easement on Crowcut Road. For an explanation, it was already approved prior to the original, to the new codes that we have as far as sidewalks go.
Yeah, I think what he's offering is fair. The only thing that I would add to that, I think the city is trying to be fair. I think all the parties are trying to be fair, but that it be noted on the drawing that is submitted tonight, and that no building permits will issue prior to that drawing showing that easement on there. I think that's fair.
In addition to the motion that no building permits will be added until the adjustment's been made on the plans.
File with the city. I think that would take care of the problem and be fair to the city and to Mr. Cabinet.
I think that'd be fair and equitable for everybody.
That's fine.
A
Second.
motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Will, just a question, Will, on the driveways on Crowcut there with those lots, just to hear from you that it meets the separation requirement of footage between them?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
And I've just got a question for you, hasn't it? We already voted. What's over on this side over here on lot 5, that forced main 15-foot easement that runs up there between Scott Pease property and their lot 5?
What is that? I don't have it in front of me.
I just had a question about it.
That's what number 2 is.
Mr. Sutton, that's a force main that will serve the future phases. There'll be a pump station on
Yeah, it's pumped.
down towards the end of the proposed Deer Valley Drive, and it will gravity collect the remainder of the lots that are to be developed, and then it'll pump back to the existing force main on Crowcut Road.
That's what I thought it was. I just want to make sure. Thank you very much. That's all on that. Chairman.
I have an original motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The amended motion, do I have, all in favor? I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Just point of order there. If we need to vote on the amendment, and that would make the original null and void. Is that correct?
You have to vote on both
You'll
of
have to
them.
vote on this sense, you have to vote on both of them because you had the approval and then you had approval as amended.
All opposed? Motion passes. Eight point four, discuss or take action on electing a first secretary for the Planning Commission. Do I have any nominations? Hello?
No.
Okay, pick somebody.
I thought, Matt, aren't you both?
Matt? Matt's
I'm the
the
vice
vice
chair.
chair.
Someone who's not an officer.
I nominate Brandon Butler.
Second.
A first and a second for Brandon Butler. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Do you accept it, Brad?
Congratulations, Brandon Butler.
Do
You're the
you
first
accept it?
secretary, which means that you and I will be signing plats.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 9, report for discussion and/or information.
Madam Chairman.
Director of Planning and Code, Mr. Humbert.
I just have a brief report tonight, sort of concerning our status of subdivisions and residential development in the city. At this time, we have a number of subdivisions that are active, and we have some that are in process of getting underway. We actually have some that are just being talked about. But all in all, we have approximately, as I counted, 1,000 lots either being discussed, in process of plans, underway, in phases already started. So we've got a tremendous potential with the subdivisions that we have now that are sort of out there and being worked on. That's what I wanted to report. Thank you.
Thank you, that's very exciting. City Engineer, Mr. Lowman.
I have nothing further.
City Attorney, Mr. Cantrell, and we are glad that you're doing well and back with us. You look great.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thanks to everyone for the kind thoughts and the kind words. Especially I want to thank the Codes Department, the City Manager, Mr. Humbert, and I'm sure I'm wore Miss Brandy out with some things. I was very concerned about the bond thing, the bond issues that was closing in on us. Regardless of whether you're sick, well, or in between, those bonds, if they're not renewed timely or they're not called, then the city loses its money. And while I was sick, I wasn't out of my mind, and I wanted to be sure that that got taken care of. And I appreciate the fact that they were willing to listen to my. Every time I talk to somebody, I says, what about this bond? What about that bond? And I know I'm sure Ms. Sharon got tired of hearing from me, but we got it done, and I do appreciate the fact that they were willing to work with me. I couldn't get here, but I could talk, make sure that I knew they knew how to do their job. I just wanted to be sure that something didn't slip up on us, because I've seen that happen in other cities, and it's not pretty what happens, because somebody has to fix the thing. You can't leave streets with holes in them and manhole covers sticking up and this kind of thing. And I just want to say thank you to the staff, Mr. Humbert, Mr. Hall, and especially Ms. Brandy. And I don't mean to leave anybody out. I'm sure I did, but I feel much better now. I'm glad to be out and able to do anything. Thank you.
City Manager, Mr. Hall.
Madam Chairman, just want to briefly thank Brandy for sitting in for Ms. Sharon Hall tonight. Sharon's mother-in-law passed away, and I want to send our condolences to Sharon's husband's family. And glad to see Larry back, and Commissioner Sutton needs to call me next time he goes to the hospital. I would like to go and show my presence at his hospital bed. But anyway, one thing that Mr. Humbert, that he and I went over these a while ago, and one development that we kind of forgot about is Mr. Beata's development. Isn't that about 350 units?
Yes, sir.
And that's coming before the Board of Commissioners for the final rezoning, I think, on that. So, yeah, that is another one that's in progress. So, there is a lot going on, and so y'all's work's going to be cut out for you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 10 is communication from the Planning Commission members. Mr. Doughty?
I'd just like to say that me and my family came out to the 4th of July celebration out here at City Hall. I think everybody involved in that did an awesome job. We had a great time. I think it was a good showing for Fairview. I know all the local businesses were packed and busting at the seams, and man, glad to see it here in Fairview. Great job.
Mr. Wayne Loman is new to the Planning Commission. We'd like to welcome him. Would you like to have a word tonight?
Just a little bit about myself, 12-year resident of Fairview. Pretty excited to be part of this planning commission, particularly this city, putting a signature on in the future. Look forward to working with you guys for the next few years. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Mr. Rowe?
I too want to thank the city for the 3rd of July festival. It was really great. I think everybody had a good time, and I appreciate everything that everybody put into it. And just one other thing, I just wanted to encourage the members of the Plan Commission to make sure that you file your statement of interest with the ethics. I think there's 4 people that need to have that attended to, so that would be a great thing if you could do that. If you need the information on that, I've got a little piece of paper here to help you out. Thank you.
Mr. Mangrum?
I'd just like to thank our staff again. I sound like a broken record, but y'all typically provide us with all the information we need to make the right decisions.
Commissioner Sutton?
I want to thank everybody for the hard work you've been doing. As I said before, I do have one question, just so that I don't forget it. I was city manager in Hall, and I did a radio show for the fourth on the 3rd. That's what it said the other day. But I noticed it in front of the Shell station and in front of Bobby Stevens' garage right there. There's 2 terrible drain holes. And if they were bad before and they're terrible now since they've repaved over the top of them, I'd like to find out whose responsibility that is and get it fixed. If it's ours, we need to fix it because it's a danger. Everybody know what I'm talking about? It's just, I'm talking about a foot or more down and through there, not only for a car, but somebody walking or anything else. Have you had a chance to check on that yet?
Not yet, but I'll talk to Todd about it and we'll check into it.
Okay.
Shell station, as you talked about, and the other one's at Cardinal Drive. Right there.
It looks like they're both state property.
And the one at Cardinal Drive is deeper than the one at the Shell station.
Oh, yeah, they're way beyond what they should be. So if y'all could follow up on that, I appreciate it. Larry, I was able to talk to you while you're in the hospital, and I think you were out of it a little bit because you promised me $1,000.
Me too.
Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back. I think that's all I've got. No.
Mr. Butler?
I'd like to welcome Mr. Loman and then also thank the city for a terrific 4th of July celebration. It was a great turnout, great to see.
Mr. Beata?
Hearing Mr. Humbert bringing up the amount of potential lots coming to fruition or working that way, I wanted to bring up or add to next month's agenda if we could discuss HOAs, either requirements or a way to entice these subdivisions to self-govern. We've had a board workshop about 2 or 3 months ago talking about signs and a lot of things that the city board of commissioners have to deal with that I feel if we could encourage HOAs that could be contained per subdivision. So I'd like to see that added.
Good point.
And welcome, Mr. Loman. So that's all.
Okay, my turn. I'd like to welcome Mr. Loman. And I've witnessed Mr. Hall, Mr. Humbert out pounding the pavement, talking to all these potential developers of the new subdivisions, and I just think it's awesome. We tend to want to, really kind of look at the commercial that's coming out here and be excited about that, but you've got to understand, without the rooftops, the commercial's not supported. So it's very important for us to look at the new subdivisions, encourage, the developers and, entice people to move to this wonderful city that I've called home for over 20 years. I love it here. And I'm so I feel just so privileged to be a part of this planning commission for 8 years and work with all these members and the staff, because I think we've got something so wonderful going on in Fairview right now, and we've got such a great team put together to see that, Fairview is great and, has a wonderful future. So I'm excited, and it's exciting to hear the news about all the development coming. The 4th of July celebration was amazing. The city, all the businesses who supported the 4th of July celebration, and just, all the people coming out and just seeing our city come together and enjoying something that the city put on for them. And what a spectacular show, the fireworks. I went downtown and, it was really nice here. It was really nice here to be with our citizens and a part of this celebration, and how exciting it was. And I just appreciate all the hard work of everyone in the city who came together and put this on. And I know, Brandy, I watch what you do on a day-to-day basis. I watch everything that you put into your, it's not, I don't think everything you do is a part of your job, but you go above and beyond. And I want you to know that I appreciate it, and I see it every day. And I know how hard you work and what effort you put in. And that celebration was fabulous. And I know that you worked tirelessly to make a lot of that happen. So I just wanted to, give you a shout out for that and appreciation. Like I said, I feel privileged to be a part of this team. Yes.
Madam Chairman, I forgot one thing I think is very critical for our future. Frank and myself and the mayor will be involved tomorrow at the Nashville Convention Center in a TVA Retail Development Center convention, more or less, tomorrow from 11 till 4, and then Thursday all day long. There's a lot of retail developers there, and they want to know our infrastructure. And Brandy has put together something that's, I think, is going to be added to the future as far as a brochure type thing. But Frank and I are on board with that, and it first was brought to us about the development around 840 and possibly around I-40. So we found out a lot of things in the meantime. We'll be reporting in the future of what we found out more, and hopefully, who knows, what we might entice to come to Fairview. So anyway, once you adjourn, I would like to say one more thing, but it's something I don't want to discuss right now. But anyway, I'll have to confer with Larry on that. So anyway, that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's all I have to say. Just, what I always say every meeting, please keep your money here in Fairview. We have a lot of great businesses here, and just shop here first. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.